the Republican whip. He joins me now from Capitol Hill. Thanks for the time, and welcome back to Washington. And Steny Hoyer sounded pretty optimistic that Democrats and Republicans in the White House can reach a deal, he hopes, in the not-too-distant future. Are you that optimistic?
Well, I am optimistic. We had a good meeting today with the Republican leader, John Boehner, and I, with the Speaker, with the Majority Leader, with the Majority Whip, and we had a good discussion about the things that we needed to do to move forward quickly. And I think there was also understanding that if we're really going to try to do something to stimulate the economy, by definition, it has to be stimulative and it has to be immediate. And if you can't meet those two criteria, then you've really missed the target here. And so hopefully we can do that. As you know, in the Capitol building, lots of things can go wrong, do go wrong, and we can wind up fighting about things that don't necessarily need to be fought about here. We need to figure out how we do good things for the economy, and it's an important thing to do.
It seems like the centerpiece, from talking to Leader Hoyer and to other Democrats, the centerpiece for them would be a tax rebate for some broad spectrum of Americans, perhaps middle-income Americans. Are you all willing to begin with that as a starting point?
Well, you know, last year we didn't get much done. It was probably the least productive Congress in a it was definitely the least productive Congress in a long time, probably the least productive Congress in recent history. And when we did get things done, it's because we decided to work together. And a lot of those things had to be done with a significant Republican imprint on them because they needed to get to the president's desk and he needed to sign them. The president gets back this evening. He needs to be part of that discussion. Certainly, the retail purchasing impact in the country has been proven to be enhanced whenever you get money back in people's hands in some significant way. And maybe that's a rebate check. I think that's something that for taxpayers. I think if you get beyond taxpayers, that's a problem for us. I certainly think if you get into the idea that you're going to raise taxes on some people to create a tax refund for other people, that's a non-starter for us. So this is a stimulus package, no time to raise taxes. Certainly, it's never a bad time to get money back in the hands of the people who it belongs to because they're going to do a better job growing the economy than the government is.
Is this package going to have to include some business component for you to support it?
I hope it includes a business component, and you know, we want to look at the things we did in 2001 and 2003 that had such good impact. When you go to small business and say, if you go ahead and make that spending decision in the next 12 months or the next 18 months or whatever relatively short period you decide is the time period for things like 100% expensing, businesses are going to make the decision to do things that they were right on the edge of doing or were deciding when was the time they had to do them. That kind of 100% expensing and on things that can't be expensed that are capital investments, some kind of bonus depreciation, clearly had impact in 2004, 2005. That's been a proven strategy. So, you know, you could look at something like a tax refund on the retail end and expensing and bonus depreciation on the manufacturing service sector spending in. And frankly, people are going to buy the computer, buy the delivery truck, do some things that they'd been thinking they wanted to do but couldn't quite get there until the federal government says this is the time you can do this with the most advantage.
You said that tax increases would be a non-starter for you and other Republicans on the Hill. On the other side of the aisle, Leader Hoyer and other Democrats saying any effort to try and link fiscal stimulus with permanent extension of the Bush tax cuts, that's got to be off the table as well. Are you willing to concede that right now?
Not willing to concede it right now because it does have impact on this economy. And you know, maybe this is the moment to look at what we've done in the last year to discourage people from making the right kind of pro-growth decisions in the economy. When you announce, as we have over the course of the last year, the majority has over the course of the last year, that we intend for the federal government to essentially double the capital gains rate in 3 years, that we intend to double tax dividends again, lots and many things beyond that, lots of pro-growth, pro-job creation decisions that would have been made aren't made. That's part of this problem. It may not be a part of the problem we can deal with in a stimulus package, but we better understand that we're really creating economic consequences when we talk about transitioning from the growth tax policies of 2001 and 2003 to policies that just simply aren't as good for investing and job creating.
How quickly do you need to see a fiscal stimulus package, in your mind, to actually have an impact on the U.S. economy, to actually try and prevent the economy from going into recession?
Well, I think that should be our goal, to prevent recession from happening. Unemployment is still at a relatively low number. Consumer spending was very good through November and the first few days of December, and so we've seen these problems develop very recently, and we ought to work with the White House and the Senate to try to get this done just as quickly as possible. The Majority Leader, Mr. Hoyer, said today that he was hopeful that we could get something off the House floor within 30 days. I think we can do that.
Quick,
it sounds real quick, but it's possible if we'll all stay on the path of getting something done rather than finding the things we can fight about, and particularly if we can keep targeted on things that really stimulate the economy and happen sooner rather than later.
Really quickly, your thoughts on Ben Bernanke and interest rate cuts. It seems pretty clear from what we're hearing from you and Democrats that interest rate cuts alone are not going to be enough here.
We don't. I think it's likely that they're not. And frankly, from my point of view, Peter, the tax burden on the American people is still too high. And if there's a reason, if you can come upon a reason to let people keep more of their own money and encourage business to create more jobs, because they do that better than the government does, particularly small business, you ought to take advantage of that moment. And this is a moment when we have a chance to do that. And I think we can prevent worse things from happening.
All right. House Minority Whip Roy Blunt, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us here on Money and Politics. Next up, President Bush finishes his 8-day tour of the Middle East. Was it a success? Talk to our reporter on the ground.